If you have never heard the sound of absolute silence, you have never been to Antarctica. It isn't peaceful. It's heavy. It presses against your eardrums like water. People think the cold is the enemy here. They think it's the frostbite or the 60-mile-per-hour winds that can strip the flesh off your face. But they are wrong. The enemy isn't the cold. The enemy is the isolation. My name is Thomas. I am the comms officer for Outpost Sierra. We are a two-man team stationed 400 miles from the main McMurdo base. Our job is simple. Monitor the seismic sensors, log the weather data, and don't die. But 3 days ago, the radio stopped working. A storm rolled in, a Category 1 whiteout, visibility 0, temperature -80. My partner Miller is the engineer. He's a good man, tough. But the darkness, the 6 months of night, it gets to everyone. I have to go check the external array, Miller said. He was pulling on his thermal parkas, layer after layer. Don't do it, Miller, I told him. The wind chill is lethal. If you get turned around out there, you're dead in 2 minutes. I'll be fine, Tom. I'll tether myself to the airlock. If I don't fix the dish, we have no comms for a month. I'm not dying in the dark. I watched him leave. I watched the heavy steel wheel of the airlock spin shut. I heard the hiss of the depressurization. That was 4 hours ago. I was sitting at the console, staring at the static on the monitors, waiting. Thump! I jumped. It came from the outer door. Thump, thump. It was a heavy, rhythmic knocking. Miller. He was back. I ran to the airlock. I grabbed the wheel. The metal was freezing cold even through the insulation. Miller, that you? I yelled through the steel. Let me in, Tom! It's freezing out here. My tether snapped. I spun the wheel. The gears ground together. I pulled the lever. The door hissed open. A blast of snow and ice exploded into the antechamber. A figure stumbled in, covered in white frost from head to toe. I slammed the door shut and locked it. The figure collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. Jesus, Miller, I said, grabbing his shoulder. I thought you were a goner. Let's get you out of this gear. He didn't say anything. He just stood there, shivering. I reached for his hood to pull it back. Miller, you okay? Let's get you to the med bay. He grabbed my wrist. His grip was incredibly strong, painful. Hey, let go, you're hurting me. Don't look at me, he whispered. His voice sounded wet, wrong. I stepped back. Something wasn't right. The parka, it looked like Miller's. The boots were Miller's. But the way he was standing, his arms were too long. His shoulders were hunched forward like a predatory bird. Suddenly, the radio on the wall crackled to life. It shouldn't be working. The array was down. Sierra Base, come in. This is Miller. My blood turned to ice. I looked at the radio. Then I looked at the figure standing in front of me. Miller? I whispered into the mic. Tom, thank God. Listen to me. I'm stuck at the array. The storm is too bad. I can't make it back. I'm hunkered down in the emergency shelter. If Miller was on the radio, then who or what did I just let inside? The figure in the room slowly stood up straight. It reached up with gloved hands and began to unzip the parka. It wasn't shivering from the cold. It was laughing. The heavy parka slid off its shoulders and hit the floor with a wet thud. Underneath, it wasn't wearing clothes. It wasn't even wearing skin. It was a pale, glistening white mass of muscle and fluid. It looked like a human that had been stripped raw and dipped in wax. But the worst part was the face. It didn't have its own face. It was growing one. Right in front of me, the white flesh was bubbling, shifting, trying to form a nose, a mouth, eyes. It opened a mouth that was just a jagged slit in the center of its head. It didn't have a tongue, just rows of translucent, needle-thin cartilage. "Get back!" I screamed. I scrambled backward, my boots slipping on the metal grating. The creature lunged. It didn't walk. It unfolded toward me, its limbs snapping out like a spider. It slammed into the console where I had been sitting a second ago. Sparks showered the room. The monitor exploded. I didn't think. I just ran. I sprinted for the heavy bulkhead door that separated the airlock from the living quarters. Behind me, I heard it scuttling across the floor. Wet, slapping sounds. Slap, slap, slap. It was fast. I threw myself through the doorway and grabbed the emergency lever. The heavy steel door began to slide shut. I saw a pale white hand shoot through the gap, trying to grab me. "Close! Damn you, close!" I kicked at the hand. It felt hard, like frozen rubber. The door sealed. The locking mechanism spun into place. I slumped against the cold metal, gasping for air. Tom! Tom! Why did the telemetry cut out? What is happening in there?" I grabbed the wall intercom. "Miller, stay where you are. Do not come back to the base. There is something inside." "What? What do you mean?" "Tom, my heater is failing. I have 20 minutes of heat left. If I don't come back, I freeze." I froze. If I left the door locked, Miller dies in the storm. If I open it, that thing gets to him. And maybe it gets out. The knocking came from the door I was leaning against. It wasn't heavy this time. It was polite. "Tom?" The voice came through the steel. It wasn't the wet, gurgling sound from before. It sounded exactly like me. "Open the door, Tom. It's cold out here. I just want to get warm." I backed away from the door. It was learning. It had listened to me speak for 10 seconds, and it had already stolen my voice. Then, the lights flickered. The emergency red lights bathed the hallway in blood. The creature. It had found the breaker panel in the airlock. "Fine," my own voice said from the other side of the door. "If you won't let me in, I'll just find the vents." Above my head, inside the ceiling tiles, I heard the sound of something dragging itself through the ventilation shaft. It's coming for the living quarters, and there are no locks on the vents.